Welcome to another edition of So You're Tired of D&D and want to try something new? Or how the Wizard of the Coast fiasco made me change my opinions. I'm your host, I'm Joker, and today I'll be talking to you about the Wall of Darkness, and more precisely, Vampire The Masquerade. No, I don't have an editor, no, I don't have time for that, I'm an idiot. Alright? So, first off, what is the Wall of Darkness? The Wall of Darkness is a setting for a role playing game where vampires live among us, werewolves fight in the forest for nature, ghosts hunt the living and the dead, and a shit ton of weird crap is going on in the world. That being said, in this setting, you don't play as the hero. You are not he who is here to save the world, not precisely, or who is here to hunt the monsters and the demons of the night. No. You play as the monster. You and the rest of your party play as the vampires. So, why is Vampire so popular? Vampire the Masquerade got very popular during the 90s. Hold on, let me fix my microphone. There we go. So it doesn't peak so much. It got popular during the 90s as a horror role-playing game where the combat was let go. It's not very good, but it's very focused on roleplay itself, on how your character starts dehumanizing, how your character starts slowly turning into a monster, and that's where the roleplay aspect comes from it. How from one moment your character is a normal human being who was turned into a vampire, and the next you're doing horrible things in order to survive and justify yourself from doing those horrible things. That's the core setting. That's the main focus of the game. That being said, Vampire the Masquerade is a mature role-playing game, not just because of the sex or the violence, but because of the themes it touches upon. Themes of faith, personal horror, drama, and how far you're willing to go. I won't go into the whole editions debacle, or else we're gonna be here all day. Like, literally all day. So, that being said, let's go bit by bit. Is it combat heavy? Depends on who's your GM. Depends. The core book doesn't really have an established city setting, so if you only have the core book, you have to fly solo from there. Do you need other books in order to play it properly? Depends on the edition. My favorite is 20th anniversary, that you only need the core book, and from that you can fly on. Revise has the core book, and then you have a crap ton of other books that can help you out. And the current edition, 5th edition, the most popular one, you only need the core book, and from there you can again fly solo. Complexities of the setting. The game itself spans a large history that was built back in the 90s. The lore of the game is massive. Okay, I mean it's freaking massive. But don't worry, don't get too overwhelmed. As long as your DM knows what's the deal with the 13 clans, which are quote unquote the classes, and the political sects being the Camarilla, the Sabbat, the Anarchs, and the Independents, you should be on your own. Don't worry. There's a lot of minutia to it, personally, where it can get very overwhelming, especially since it's a game where it detaches itself from the normal tabletop conventions. So, for example, do you need minis? No. Do you need maps? Not really. But it's like playing Game of Thrones, where there's a lot of political manipulation, a lot of backstabbing, a lot of personal drama. If you need movies for examples for Vampire the Masquerade to give you a vibe, I would say The Godfather, Anne Rice's Interview with the Vampire, both the book and the movie. Also, Prince Lestat and The Queen of the Damned, the books. I would highly recommend you watch Castlevania, but focus on the vampires, not in the whole not in the whole Belmont hunting vampires. In a fucked up way, what we do in the shadows, both the series and the movie, can give you a general outline of how vampire society works. Where there's a lot of class and style. Hell, even it's gonna sound weird. The movie John Wick. For those of you who are familiar with World of Darkness, think of John Wick as an autarkist. The hotel being the Continental Hotel being an Elysium. The owner of the hotel being a fucking prince, and then you can go and do the mental math of everything. Other complexities. At first, it might be a little bit overwhelming because there's not much math in the system in the character creation. There's a lot of points to allocate. The system is very simple. It's basically your attribute plus your skill that equals to dice. So, for example, if you need to shoot somebody in the face, you need dexterity and firearms. Let's say that your dexterity is 2, your firearms is 1. You roll 3 dice. In the classic one, you need to get 6 or higher. In the new one, in the B5, depends on what the dice says, because the dice have symbols. Money to spend on books. That's an excellent question. Let me check Amazon, okay? Personally, I'm a firm believer that the core book should have everything that you need. So it will depend on what you want to do with the game. The core edition for the 5th edition, which is the most popular right now and the easiest to find, it's about, I would say, $40, $45, $53. Sorry. That includes 7 of the clans. That includes, I think it's 8 of the clans because they added a few. That includes the plot till today, like what's going on in the whole universe of Vampire, as well as the systems of fighting and whatnot. If you want more information about other clans, you need to buy the Zabat book. You need to buy You need to get the companion, which is free. You need what are the tools you would need? Obviously the dice, because this one uses a particular set of dice. The classic one you would only need revised edition, which is my favorite but hard to find, and 20th edition, which is still in print, still going around. The game itself can be played in 2 different ways. 3 different ways, very opposing to each other. If your players are Camarilla, it's a very political game. A lot of influence, a lot of manipulation. When I say political, don't think right wing, left wing, think about a war of manipulation. If you guys are playing Anarchs, it's more guerrilla tactics. It's more about taking down a city, fighting the corruption from within and whatnot. If you're playing Sabat, oh my god, you players are gonna be monsters. Personal advice, if your players are playing for the first time ever Vampire, don't go Sabat. Because, I hate to say it, Sabat is the edgelord option. Now, that being said, bear in mind, vampires are not good people. They drink humans for a living, they manipulate them, they use them. There's a couple of controversies because of it. The community, I personally would say there is spaces where you can talk with the community, and there's some aspects of the community which are a little bit toxic. So that's the con. There's a lot of things to learn from Vampire. If you really want to get a grasp of how big the universe is, check out Beckett Gihat's diary, which tells you everything from the 90s till today, with an alternative ending for the universe. If you want to go big or go home, go with Gehenna, which is the end world scenario, because vampires believe in the end of the world, and Gehenna is a 4 chronicle book which tells you how to run the end of the world. That only works, by the way, for 20th edition and previous editions. 5th edition, Gehenna hasn't happened yet, and there's no rules on how to run it. I would also recommend you, it's not a game for people who are a little bit too dispersed, because there's a lot of things you need to catch on, characters you need to figure out and understand. So it's a more pause game, it's a more slow game. That doesn't mean that there's no action. Like, if you want to play a heavy combat campaign, that can be possible. Like if your character works for the sheriff or Enforcer of the Masquerade. I'm not gonna explain too much about the not metagaming, more like the meta mechanics of it, because I don't want to overwhelm you. But long story short, vampires have this policy where humans should not know about them. That's called the Masquerade. The Camarilla enforces it, so if you drink somebody, make it private. If you kill somebody, make it look like it was a normal way to die. If you tear somebody limb by limb, make sure you hide the body, whatnot. The Anarchs believe that the Camarilla is full of bullshit because they are a meritocracy. And the Thabat believes the end of the world is coming, the great vampire gods are coming, let's fuck everything that we can. So they're gonna kill you, eat you, wear your skin as suits, and hopefully in that order. Points of contention that personally would say is, like I said, the community, the lore can be a little bit overwhelming. So don't worry, I'm not expecting you to learn the entirety of the game within a month. It's impossible. Especially because there's other lines that kinda interconnect. In the old universe, in the old books, revised and 20th, there is hints about the bigger wolf darkness, about werewolves, about mages, about demons, and how they all interconnect. In the new edition, they don't do that much. The new edition is more focused on survival, while the others are more focused on having control over society. If you need another like refresher about the game, or you wanna explore the universe before playing the game, I highly recommend you to watch either LA by Night, which is in YouTube, or play the original Vampire The Masquerade Bloodlines, which it's an incredible experience. It's one of the best written games I have ever played. It's buggy as fuck. Get the patches, but that's about it. So summarizing, pros: heavy roleplay, a lot of political conflict, a lot of drama, a lot of soap opera-ish, and a big LARP community, by the way. Cons: heavy lore. The community, I find it a little bit toxic. There's a lot of argument between editions. I personally don't like the new edition, personally. But if you want to go try it, go ahead. I won't shame you nor anything. The combat is not very well made. Oh, and Vampire is less about classes and more about characters. So in D&D, you pick the Paladin, and you play the Paladin, that's about it. In Vampire, you create a human being, somebody with wishes, dreams, desires, who was turned into a vampire, and you go from there. The clans give you a general idea of what your powers are, what you're capable of, which faction you belong to. And by the way, you don't have to marry the factions, okay? You can turncoat. But yeah, like for example, in D&D, I'm playing a paladin. His name is Elric. He follows yada yada yada. Vampire The Masquerade. I'm playing as Joe. He's a lawyer. He is trained from his ex-girlfriend. He has a kid. He hasn't seen in a while, and he's struggling with drug addictions. He was recently turned into a vampire. He can only drink certain types of blood. He hates the person who turned him into a vampire, but now his family believes he's dead. But he still misses his son, and that's where you go from. There. The game is being constantly published. There's a lot of material out there. Sadly enough, there's no There's no you know what I mean. Like, if you read 20th or 30th or revised edition, the rules don't really translate to 5th edition. The lore may do, maybe, but not really. Yeah, that's about what I can tell you about Vampire The Masquerade. If there's any other game that you're curious about and you want to know more about it, write me in the comments and I'll see what I can do. Again, I'm explaining it to people who have mostly played D&D and are slowly opening themselves to explore other games. This is Joker. I'm on Twitch, Joker019. Wish you good night and good gaming. Oh, shit. Shit. I need to remember the controls. Anyways, buenas noches.